Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Dex on Global Television, where we take a look at some international and national headlines breaking for today, and of course adding our voices to the conversation, having a different perspective and letting you know, bringing you to speed to what is actually happening around the world. But before we actually delve into other issues here in Nigeria, we'll be beginning the fact that former president of Ivory Coast seems to declare, for re-election into the same office he left some years ago. Recall that he has actually had some court injunctions, which is actually making, seems to be very hard for him to recontest for that particular office. But he's saying that he's ready to contest for the election in Ivory Coast, for the 2025 Ivory Coast presidential election. What does this mean to Africa's democracy? Do we have a point where a past president now having to come back again to rule? Does it therefore mean that we do not have vibrant young people? Look at what has happened in other African countries where we actually have a Faye coming in to be the president. It's a signal that that's what the way to go. And having Ivory Coast dragging backward as the former president coming back again to declare for the same position has actually brought a lot of controversies and reactions. We had a voice to these conversations shortly after this break. But good to have you join us on this program as we go on a quick break. And once we return, we'll take a speed with Ivory Coast 2025. The former president Lawrence declaring his seat to return. And then we'll also take a look at the Rivers State politics. Odili, former governor of Rivers State, declaring Governor Fubara as the leader of Rivers State. What does this mean to former Governor Wike, now the minister in FCT? Would he likely take this kindly? Odili and Wike recently have been at the very separative friendship, but coming out to declare Fubara as the leader of the Rivers State. Rightfully, he is the governor of the state, but we understand some of the implications to this statement. We'll take a look at also this issue. And of course, we'll also look at today the Lagos State High Court has actually given judgment, jailing Bobrisky, transgender, an Instagram transgender for a 6 month, for Naira issue of Naira abuse. This was actually petitioned by the EFCC. The swift judgment of Bobrisky has also given attention. EFCC has other, cases to trial, and of course, waiting judgment. The Edu case and other cases already, in the corridors of EFCC. Why are we having a fast and swift judgment on the issue of Bobrisky? What happened to other issues pending within the EFCC and in the court? If this is a way to go in giving judgment swiftly, then it will be a welcome development. That has been the reaction of the people. What a perspective to this. What are the legal, binding to this issue of Naira abuse? Some people are coming out to say he's not the only one that have been victim of these circumstances. We also make a comment on that. And it's just barely a week after the federal government had actually had it, the issues of electricity tariff. The new reviewing the prices of electricity tariff for customers under Ban A. But discos are coming out to apologize severally because the expectation of Ban A is that you must give the customers 20 hours of electricity. But what happened where customers have actually paid but do not have the 20 hours of electricity? These has also been issues of concern. What should the government do away from just reviewing the tariff? What has been in place to making sure that people, Nigerians and customers get what they pay for, away from not just paying, getting what they pay for? Issues of electricity must be able to be addressed in the country. And lastly, we'll be taking a look at the Lagos-Calabar Highway. Our federal government planning to compensate some of the people, some of the owners of properties, some of the owners of affected properties along these highways with a tone of 15 trillion naira. Would this compensation get to, even the highway, issues of the highway, what is the economic importance of this highway, and all of this will be what will be had in perspective to in a discussion today. I'm being joined by Aliyu Bilal, who after this break, who had his voice to the conversation, starting from the issues of Ivory Coast, and of course connecting up with us from Lagos will be the legal practitioner Archibong, who of course will also be joining us on Zoom to adding his voice to the conversation that we're having on the program, the Dex. Do stay with us, don't go away. still with us on the decks here on Global Television as well. We'll be bringing to speed, what is happening around the world. Let's begin with the fact that the preparation for Ivory Coast presidential election, as the former president Laurent has declared for that seat. Bilal, are we going forward? Is Africa going forward? We've seen what happened in Senegal, where we have that fire coming in, fresh hair, vibrant young man. But in Ivory Coast, it seems some more politicians, all politicians, seem to be very much interested in getting back to power. What does this mean to Africa's democracy? Well,
I would say that we Africans are the architects of our problems. Because looking at Laurent Gbagbo was the president of Ivory Coast from 2000 to 2010. There in 2010, he lost the election to Alassane Ouattara, and he wasn't willing to hand over power to Alassane Ouattara due to some, selfish interest, and he tried to see how he could, adulterate the electoral results, trying to slash down some votes from the northern part of Ivory Coast, where Alassane Ouattara hails from, and that plunged Ivory Coast into a civil war, which they're still trying to recover from to date. On the long run, Ouattara went hiding. Laurent Gbagbo went hiding, whereby he wasn't within the presence of the presidential palace, and the armed forces later, captured him and his wife in a bunker. Then he was arrested, and the ICC, International Criminal Court, charged him against, crimes and human rights abuse. And at that point in time, Alassane Ouattara took over the affairs of governance. Now, looking at Gbagbo in 2021, Alassane Ouattara pardoned him and told him to return back to the country. Today, Gbagbo is 79 years old, and he has presented himself again for elections. And looking at citizens trooping out in multitudes to the streets of Abidjan, trying to validate a criminal. You see, we are the architects of our own problems.
So some people are backing it up, like the supporters.
Absolutely. A man plunged your nation into a civil war. And they are still trying to recover from the post-war effects to date, and you're now giving him such kinds of validations. He's 78 years old. When he gets into power, what should we expect him to do? He wasn't that, because this was somebody that was in prisons in the early 1970s and later on in the 1990s. So he has been a frequent visitor to the prisons. So what's, positive about his personality that you're trying to validate to the own detriment of your own nation? This is someone that needs to stay back, behind the doors to be an elder statesman, and also try to, sometimes provide, consultations to the government as a statesman. But still trying to present yourself for elections, again, it's going to be to the detriment of their own nations. And later on, you now start seeing, citizens coming out protest, express their concerns about the desertification, about the nation.
All right. It is a very sad note, but let me get to hear from Archibald. Is there anything that some of our leaders, when they leave office, they forget back then? in the office again, where it seems to have an interest of going back, returning back, having the intention of nursing to return back and to do. Because some of these things is actually killing our democracy, the essence of, strengthening, allowing young people, allowing new people to have the fair grounds to contest, and of course to become the leaders of the country, should be the way forward to strengthen Africa's democracy. But dragging back, Lawrence coming back, what do you think this means to us?
Okay, it's not a new thing that we are saying that Gbaddo is coming out to contest the election again. Like your guest has rightly said, he contested in 2000 and then he won in 2000. Then in 2010 he lost the election, but then he rejected the outcome of the election. He's coming back again in short. Even in 2020, he attempted to contest the election again, but the Constitutional Council, rejected his candidacy, so he could not contest in 2020 due to his, numerous charges. He had charges before the ICC, even in his country, he was convicted for 20 years. He was convicted for 20 years. In ICC, he was actually acquitted in ICC, which the judgment was appealed. The prosecutors appealed the judgment, but he was also acquitted on appeal. But now in his country, he was convicted for 20 years. In short, it was recently that the present president invited him to come back to return to the country. And after returning to the country, the president, granted him pardon. The president granted him pardon. After he was granted pardon, he established a new party. He formed a new party, which is the party is the party he intends to contest the next election with. So it is not a new thing. Even in Nigeria, we've seen it's the situation where President Olusegun Obasanjo, wanted to contest for third term. So we've seen, African leaders, holding on to power. Even in Cameroon, we still have Paul Biya. Over how many years now he's still in power. So it now comes to the issue of what are African leaders forgetting in office. So it's really an issue of concern where African leaders tend to go back to their offices, tend to try all possible means to remain in power. So the issue of Gbaddo is surprising. We don't know what is, and for me, I think his aspiration is cankerous, is disastrous to the. It's not for the good of the people of Ivory Coast. It's not for the benefit of Ivorians, because we can see that right from 2000 when he entered office, there have been unrest in Ivory Coast. Even in 2010 when he lost the election, there was unrest, the fighting, killings, and all sorts of atrocities. Now the country is trying to stabilize, and now he's coming out again to contest. What is his interest? Does he actually consider the interest of these people, or is it because of his selfish interest? Because obviously, from precedents, you see that if peradventure he loses this election, or even if he wins, you know that there will be unrest in the country. So his aspiration naturally is not in the interest of the people of Ivorians, because it's going to bring about unrest in the country. So I think he should reconsider. If he truly loves Ivory Coast, if he truly loves Ivorians, he should reconsider his stance and back out.
All right. Well, we do hope that the people of Ivory Coast will have. The ball is now in their court to decide, and of course, taking their destiny in their hands also as they make preparations towards the elections next year. Moving away from the issues in Ivory Coast, let's take a look at Lagos. Construction of Lagos Calabar Highway. Let me begin with you, because we are right there in Lagos, and it seems that affected individuals due to the destruction, the mapping out and all of that by government to construct this highway has been people in Lagos. The federal government are saying that 15 trillion now for compensation. away from just this compensation, I mean, I understand that there were people, I mean, there's someone who has actually recruited over 3,000, workers in one of the sites there, being mapped out by the ministry, and of course those in charge to execute this project. How do we begin to see if we want to get infrastructure done? Because that has been my question. If we want to get infrastructure, how do we begin to manage so that the people, livelihood, people's, welfare will not be really affected by the incidences? Because just going about marking out and destroying people's property and actually telling us that you'll be given 15 trillion might not really solve the situations of sending back over 5,000, over 3,000 Nigerians back to the unemployed statistics that we have in this country. What has been your concern in this regard?
Okay, I think the Lagos, Calabar Road is a very fundamental project. It is a project that, every Nigerian should embrace. So, irrespective of the fact that, it has, that certain properties will be demolished, but then you have to look at the greater good that this project is going to bring to Nigeria. Because if you look at it, the project is going to open up, major routes, access to seaports and coastal areas. So this project, even though it's going to, affect the, properties of Nigerians, Nigerians, it is for the greater good, and then the government is empowered by law, for the greater interest, to carry out such project. So, and then these people are going to be duly compensated. It's not as if they are not going to be compensated. But we are also aware of some, dubious individuals that have gone to, erect, structures, erect shrines along the path, because, they are expecting, compensation. But be that as it may, the government is going to, assess all this and then ensure that, the rightful owners of, properties that are going to this project is going to pass through their property, they are going to be duly compensated. But then again, we should look at what is, the timeline for this project. Is this project going to be achieved during the, pendency of the present government? And then also, I think it will be apt, if this project is, commenced from, Calabar. The phases should start from Calabar, then, go to Port Harcourt and then spread out. Right? Because we've seen instances where, projects are abandoned before it gets to the south. So in order to give the assurances of, people that help from this area that truly this project is, is going to get to them before this administration elapses, I think it's only fair that they commence, the project from south, commence it from Calabar and then proceed. Because this will give assurances of, the Nigerians and people from the south side that they feel that they are marginalized, and then that this is only an avenue for, government to, siphon money.
All right. Let me get to you, Bilal. Atiku Abubakar has accused the federal government that it seems they are just trying to, one of those projects that they will just brings it up just to embezzle some funds. And even the minister has come out to say that there is no personal interest. This project is not just starting today. Many administrations had it on their plan, but it wasn't executed. And do we feel that it's not just, it's a situation where a contract or, a drama again that we'll be having where the project will start just as the lawyers said, and it will not be completed?
Well, absolutely. Looking at this coastal project, we have seen so many discrepancies in it, based on the funding. But we're looking at it, there are processes to biddings for contracts in the country, which is backed up by the law. The process of awarding this contract, the bid wasn't competitive at all. The contract was awarded to Gilbert Shoduri of the High-Tech Constructions. We've known, over the years, he has been having like a working relationship with the president, over the years. And looking at this thing, it seems to be a personal thing and can also serve as an avenue for siphoning of funds. Looking at the Minister of Works coming out to say that he said earlier that it wasn't a the PPP thing, and later he came out to say that it's a public-private partnership thing. And looking at the budget, we don't know how much. He's just talking about the road components of the coastal highway. We don't know the budgets for the road components of the coastal highway. So these are conflicting discrepancies in this, whole thing. The bidding of this, contract wasn't competitive at all. There are many construction companies out there who, are on the shores of Nigeria, from some of the companies from the Chinese regions, the South Africans, and also the Americans. So this whole thing looks to be like one-sided. Why should you just award a contract without any form of competitive bidding? So that's one of the reasons why Atiku raised some concerns about it. And looking at the 2024 budget, it was stipulated with Lagos to Port Harcourt. But the government is now coming to say it is Lagos to Calabar. And looking at another factor again is that over the years, we've seen governments demolish structures owned by, citizens, and whereby they promise to compensate people affected. But we don't have a framework to ensure that this compensation gets to the right people. There are so many people that have been affected in such cases like this. To date, they haven't yet been compensated, and these are issues that might really affect the economy. Making people drift back into poverty. Making people jobless, killing businesses and all. So if they need to make a review of this project to see how they can find alternate means to prevent these occupants from being affected by this project.
Yeah, because the intention of the government might be genuine, and but there are a lot of steps and procedures to follow. And of course, just to end the trust of Nigerians. The Nigerians just want the country that works, just want a government project that touches their lives. So if it's a way forward, the government, but the right thing must always be. We have always had issues of processes in the country, so the right process must be able to be carried out in the Lagos Calabar Highway. Let's move away from that to take a look at today. The Lagos Court jails Bobrisky 6 months for Naira abuse. Let me begin with you, the legal practitioner. Why so fast? We've EFCC are handling other important cases. Also the issues of Naira abuse is not just Bobrisky. Many people are saying it's not just Bobrisky that has been defaulter of these, but the quicker judgment dispensed today by the Lagos High Court seems to show that judiciary are quick to dispense justice for insignificant matters like this. I will call this insignificant because we have pressing issues in this country. Do you feel that the judgment? They have also said that no bail. Issues of not giving out bail and also generated concern. He has actually apologized to the court, finding himself guilty for the offense charge. But it seems the situation played out not quite expected from Nigerians.
The issue of fastness in the dispensation of justice is it's not surprising, and then I think it's normal. The reason is that the case is not prolonged because Bobrisky pleaded guilty. When you plead guilty, you have shortchanged the process. You are fasting the process, so to say. There will be no need to go into lengthy trial, which would have taken time. So contrary to the expectation of people that normally trials can take years and this, but a situation where the accused person has the defendant has pleaded guilty, it changes the whole scenario. So that is why this Bobrisky matter, the matter has been set came to an end as fast as it did. So and then secondly, people have been saying that Bobrisky is not the only one that has been spraying money in parties and all that. The truth of the matter is, it is who is being prosecuted. The court will not go into the field or
Massive
into
arrest.
yes, it will not go into the society to bring out defaulters, people that have been defaulted. It's not the duty of the court. It is the duty of law enforcement agency. So where law enforcement agency do not bring culprits, perpetrators of this act before it, the court has no jurisdiction over them. So it is where law enforcement agencies, as they did in the case of Bobrisky, by bringing the defaulters before the court, that's when the court will adjudicate on the matter. So the issue of, and then also you cannot say because other people are doing something, you have to follow and break the law. It is unheard of. The society does not grow that way. So Bobrisky has clearly violated the section 21 of the Central Bank Act, and then the punishment is either not less than 6 months, imprisonment, or a fine of 50,000 naira, or he can even be given 6 months plus fine. So in this instance, the court has exercised its powers and exercised its discretion by saying that no, we are not giving him fine. Instead, he should serve the minimum sentence, which is 6 months. So the court is saying he should serve 6 months imprisonment.
Can he be appealed?
He cannot make an appeal in this instance because he had pleaded guilty. If you plead guilty to an offense, you have to face the consequences and the punishment that the judge gave out is in line with the law. So what are you appealing?
I mean, issue of not giving bail. Can they appeal that?
No, the issue of bail is solely at the discretion of the court. And then when you plead guilty, the likelihood of being granted bail is very slim, because there is this fear that the defendant is going to abscond. Yeah, so there is this fear that the defendant is going to abscond, and then when there is that fear, the court will not grant you bail. And even you saw after he pleaded guilty, the matter was adjourned for sentencing. The court said it should be remanded in the EFCC. It should be kept in the EFCC custody pending sentencing, because the person who has pleaded guilty, there's a high likelihood that he's going to abscond, and then the punishment is at least 6 months imprisonment. And nobody knows the mind of the judge until today, which he clearly said he's sentenced him to 6 months imprisonment.
Very sad note. I mean, back to you, Adila. Many people are saying the same way EFCC actually had to take action, actually had to take a move in this, is they channel this into fighting some of the corruptions made by our politicians and other persons involved in the country who actually get a good result. Do you share in that thought?
Well, actually, the case of mutilation of our currency notes has been happening over the years, and which is uncalled for, and it's an abuse to the currency. In a civilized society, you don't see things happening like that. It's just only and most Africans' perspectives, whereby you see people, spraying currency notes in parties and public gatherings. It's a very, very wrong thing to do. It's a very good development by the courts disciplining the celebrity. This will serve as a lesson to other people engaged in such acts. We feel this is the first time that we've seen something happening like this publicly, and whereby the courts taking actions against it. It's a very wrong thing to do, to abuse currency notes.
Yeah, I mean, concern has been also making tough consideration to other issues that we're having in the country, not just the issues of Naira and Naira mutilation. I mean, also having the fact that corruption is on the high side. How do we get EFCC to continue to do their jobs for the interest of Nigerians? Because a case like this might not be is insignificant to the Nigeria's economy. We've had, the former CBN governor still on that trial, awaiting judgment in this case. These are the cases that Nigerians are seem to be very much interested. Okay, let me get to you, Achibong. You understand the question, the perspective I'm coming out from?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Please, can you come again?
Okay.
Okay.
Make a comment before I get to John Achibong.
In cases like this, we feel the EFCC as an anti-corruption agency needs to be reformed, whereby most of its, leaders like the chairmen, heading, frontlining that agency, a lot of them are being influenced by politicians. That's why when you look at, the successions of, people frontlining the EFCC, it has always been, some like glitchy, process whereby politicians keep accusing them based on the fact that they are running after politicians, and stuff like that. So we feel they need to make the EFCC independent, and also the ICPC too, as it is, and they need to adopt some innovations, some innovative ways in combating financial crimes and corruptions. Well, Nigeria, we all know that we are a developing nations, and we have security allies, in the sense that we don't have most of these technologies in order to track down criminals and people involved in corrupt practices. So based on the allies that they have, security allies that they have with these countries, they need to have a partnership whereby there should be a technological transfer into these agencies to strengthen them. And also looking at the workforce of the EFCC and the ICPC, it's very, very low. So there needs to be some serious reforms in these agencies for them to be strengthened and able to discharge their duties effectively.
Yeah. Back to you, Achibong. Are you worried about cases already in the hands of EFCC? We've actually get to the fact that Mefele, Governor Mefele, former CBN governor, is also facing trial. But many Nigerians want the people, behind the situation that we have economically, to be apprehended and judgment be given, away from the litigations ongoing at the court. I understand that they are passing through a process. How do we begin to see that judgment can be given as swift as it can, so that Nigerians can actually, because these are where Nigerians are really much interested in, and not issues of Bobrisky.
Okay, there is a legal saying that, justice delayed is justice denied. But then again, we will not, it is not proper to sacrifice, justice on the altar of, swift dispensation of justice. In a bid to dispense justice swiftly, there can be miscarriage of justice. I know justice is a three-way traffic. You have justice for the states, justice for that the state is the society, justice for the accused, and justice for the victim. So in as much as we are trying to get, these matters to be resolved as soon as possible and then justice dispensed, we should know that the parties concerned have a right. They have a right to fair hearing, and fair hearing entails that you give them the appropriate time, reasonable time to be able to defend their case, to be able to defend their matter. And then in a matter of this nature, it has to do with complex issues, complex transactions that may require forensic analysis, that may require experts. So you need to take your time to analyze these issues. So it's not something that you rush over it. It's something you have to take your time. But what we should be advocating for is that at the end of the day, let these matters, be concluded. Let it come to a logical conclusion, and let Nigerians see that yes, there is transparency, there is fairness to all parties.
Absolutely. All right, many thanks for your thoughts, gentlemen, for the conversation. Let's get to issues of Rivers State. Obviously, has pronounced Governor Fubara as the political leader of the state. We understand this is not going down well with the former governor, Nyesom Wike. And this is actually, a case where a governor is not being allowed to lead properly in the state. Ali, you are a PDP supporter. Do you feel that Wike is actually doing too much in Rivers State?
Well, Nyesom Wike is really passing boundaries. Dr. Odili, who was like the former governor of Rivers State from 1999 to 2007, has been a notable figure in the political scape in Rivers State. Let's be reminded that Peter Odili was the person who discovered Nyesom Wike when he was a governor. At that point, made him a local government chairman. So, bringing him out from nowhere, there, he rose up the ranks and ended up becoming a minister and also a governor. Peter Odili is someone that has been like behind doors, like observing the whole scenarios. This is someone that's, Wike needs to be loyal to. You understand? The political resolutions that they had in the villa, whereby Odili led that, delegations to the presidency, and the governor accepted the results. He implemented them, but the faction of the Wike side are still trying to take advantage over that, and which is uncalled for. Looking at Wike now fighting everyone, fighting the elders in Rivers State, so the likes of Peter Odili, Edwin Clark, Uche Secondos, and now calling them, labeling them as political vampires. That's really uncalled for. Wike is getting to a point whereby he's losing that political relevance. As he is fighting these people, they are, sympathizing with the governor and moving towards the governor's camp. Looking at the projects, commissioned by the governor within the past 2 weeks, you tend to notice that all local government chairmen in Rivers are present. The elders are behind Governor Fubara. And Peter Odili came up boldly to make that statement during a commissioning of a project in his local government, stating that he is the political leader of the party in the River States. Wike is now losing grounds, and if he continues with this, mannerism, he might meet his Waterloo in due time, because you can't, hand over power and still want to parade yourselves behind the corridors of power. It's not acceptable at all. I can remember vividly during before the inauguration ceremony, whereby a induction retreat was organized for incoming governors and governors-elect and outgoing governors, whereby people like like Bukola Saraki was part of the facilitators of those programs as like, an experience, from the executive, meant for a position from the executive and also at the legislative, arm of government, coming out to sensitize them that the present governors should, shouldn't interfere into the affairs of their successors.
Yes.
Because this, would hit them negatively in the long run.
All right, we'll get back to issues in Rivers State, and of course, where we'll also be talking also on the issues of electricity tariff. We'll go on a short break right now. Once we return, we'll continue these conversations on the decks. You stay with us.
Okay.
How many times was still stay with us on the decks where we're taking a look at the Rivers State politics. Former Governor Odili, pronouncing the current governor, leader of the state, has sparked a lot of controversy. This is in regard to how we can receive this news. Archibald, we understand that Rivers State politics has been quite a very dramatic one for now. Do you feel that it has a way of affecting governance in Rivers State? I mean, who are those that are really at the receiving end of all this drama?
Yes, the current situation in Rivers State is, something of which we should all be worried about, because it's that those kind of situations stifle development. It will not allow the incumbent, governor to concentrate, to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people of Rivers State, when he's busy, fighting with the State House of Assembly members, he's fighting here and there with the former governor. All those things, it doesn't give him room to concentrate, to deliver. And we should all understand that, yes, Wike in particular should understand that, governance and power it's a relay race. Right? After your turn, you hand over the baton to another person and you relax. You must not necessarily, in relay race, once you hand over the baton, you relax. You don't continue running with the person you hand over the baton to. So Wike should relax, you sit down, maintain the back seat and watch what is going on. And then what His Excellency Odili did is obvious. It's only stating the obvious. It has never been in contention. His Excellency Fubara is the political leader of Rivers State. It is not debatable. In politics, when you are the opposition, the leader, you can only be a leader of a party. But as long as, and then in the opposition, the leader of the party is the highest political office holder at the time. He will be the leader of the opposition. But once you are the incumbent, you are the sitting governor, you are the political leader of the state, it is not debatable. You are the 001 as far as Rivers State is concerned. Anything politics, anything governance revolves around the governor. He's the one that calls the shots. So I don't see why there is uproar or debate on this. His Excellency Odili was only stating the obvious.
All right, Bilal, the threat that this may affect Fubara 2027 election, are you seeing this coming?
Threats in what aspects?
Yeah, people are saying that, Wike Camp may pull out of support for Fubara. You also understand that the appointment of the caretaker state working committee of the party that was recently been released, Fubara kicked against it. It seems that Wike had his men on the list. And this also, because if you do not control the party structure, it has a way of affecting you, for the primaries. And this is also the beginning of the war for 2027.
And Michael, let me tell you something. The Wike camp, members of his camp are restless because there was a statement that Wike made a few months ago whereby he said that if Fubara should, control the political structure in Rivers State, that means he's politically irrelevant. And we are getting to that point because as it is right now, he has been losing grounds. I'm looking at people, even factions, like people from his factions, like switching down to the side of the governor, seeing the elder statesmen, notable people within the Rivers State. Rivers State is a PDP stronghold, and the fact of just 26 lawmakers decamping back to APC wouldn't hold waters at all. I don't see them returning back to the House of Assembly anymore in 2027. Right now, this is more of like a revolution happening in Rivers State, because I feel Wike should emulate the traits of the likes of Peter Odili, a former governor that handed over power and has been behind doors quietly. The only time he's been needed is it's when they meet him for political consultations based on his experience and all. You should emulate, the traits of people like this, because this is not the first time that a governor is betraying his predecessor. It's not the first time, because you can't be out of power and still parade yourself around the corridors of power thinking that you can be in. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Rivers State is not Lagos. These people have a mind of their own. The politics in Rivers State is very different. These people are not cowards.
All right, the time is no longer very friendly to us as we begin to wrap up. Let's have a comment on the issue of electricity tariff. Issue of Ban A. I do not know, Chibong, if you're in Ban A or in Ban B, but since Ban A has not been enjoying the 20 hours electricity promised by DISCOs, even as they had reviewed the tariff, do you feel that this is a breach of agreement between customers and the suppliers of electricity, distributors?
Yeah, the issue of electricity has been lingering for a very long time now. In Nigeria, by now, we are supposed to be talking about 24 hours lights, but it's a pity that we are still talking about 20 hours or Ban A, Ban B, Ban C. The truth of the matter is, the fight is not even between Ban A and the DISCOs. The fight is between Nigerians and, the DISCOs, so to say, and the government. Because even consumers that are in Ban D are not having up to 4 hours light a day. Consumers that are in Ban C, Ban B are not having the allocated hours of light they ought to have. So why are we making this issue to be about band A consumers? What about consumers that are in band B, band C, band D, and band E? What happens to them? So this issue should not be about band A, whether they have 20 hours of light or not. It should be about whether these schools are living up to its expectations. Because consumers in these other bands are also paying their tariff. They're also paying their electricity bills. So why are we making the issue only about band A? Because in short, as it is now, some people don't know what band they belong to, the area they belong to. Because some of them are even classify themselves as band F, whereas there's nothing like band F, but they have to classify themselves as band F because they have not even seen electricity. Some are not seeing electricity for weeks. The other day in my area, I stayed 4 days without electricity. I had to call the disco before they brought back the light.
It's happening, and it is. I wish that federal government, away from just reviewing the issues of a new tariff, can begin to fix the issue of electricity. There are even some locations that do not even have electricity. This has also been a concern. Time is no longer on our side to follow deep in the convention. So we'll take it up to next edition of the program, where we'll take more perspective, having discussion to this. Many thanks, Barrister Chibong, edits. For joining us from Lagos. We deeply appreciate you. And Bilal, good to always have you join us on the conversations here on the studio. And that's the package of this edition of the Decks. I'm Edika Michael. Many thanks for watching. See you again.